Hi folks, we're releasing a significant Direct update, version 2.1. There are a number of new features to explore, so let's get right to it. First, I'd like to call your attention to the fact that we have removed the doubles and triples from the speaker menu. The primary reason for this is that now we can actually create clusters and modify them as a cluster. This gives you more flexibility and provides a more accurate map of what's happening. If you open an older file that contains a double or a triple, Direct will continue to show it in the model. Let me show you so you can see how it will work. Here's a model created in 2.0 that has a double SH50 or an SH50-2. When we open it in 2.1, we see that the SH50-2 is there. We can select it, we can still modify it, but the SH50-2 does not appear in the loudspeaker menu. Before I show you the rest of the new features, I want to take a moment to clarify an important distinction in Direct. That is, the difference between a mode and a tool. When you choose a mode, the mapping and the camera functions are frozen, so you can't move the model, you can't see the map, you can't zoom in and out, and so forth. The exception to this is the fine movement mode, where the camera is still active but the mapping is not. The modes are all chosen by right-clicking on the map window. On the Mac, they are listed using the word mode to designate them. On the PC, the modes are grouped in a submenu. Modes are exited by either choosing normal or by hitting the escape key. A tool, on the other hand, does not freeze the screen. The tools are selected from the tool menu at the top of the screen. A tip that'll make your life easier: exit out of a mode as soon as you can. Okay, next I want to show you some improvements we've made to the Select Point mode. Right-click in the main screen and select Mode, Select Point. When you mouse around the screen, you can see the XYZ coordinates. I use my scroll wheel on the mouse to select my Z point. I'm going to place a bunch of speakers at 20 feet. So when you find the place you want, you simply hit the Enter key and you'll place a speaker at the selected point. With this tool, you can place speakers very quickly. Imagine you are placing distributed speakers in a room like a ballroom. You simply select the placement and hit Enter. Notice that the Z value is maintained. Using the Select Point mode also lets you place microphones and audiences in the same way. Typing M will place a microphone, typing A will place an audience. There's also a Select Point on Wireframe mode. This is very handy if you have a wireframe that you built with SketchUp. The limitation is that the Select Point on Wireframe mode can only select a junction. So it's worth a few extra minutes to add those junction points to your SketchUp model if they're not there already. Here's a wireframe for this same ballroom that I simply added a grid to the ceiling. Now I can more precisely position my speakers. Pretty cool, huh? But as they say, wait, there's more. Using this tool, we have just set out a bunch of SH50s, and they're all pointing along the x-axis. Not very useful, but watch. Hit the S key. I know it used to stand for shadow mode, now it stands for select multiple speakers. So you hit S, drag a box around all the speakers. You'll see that all the speakers are selected. Once you select your speakers, exit from the Select Speaker mode. Now, type D, which chooses the Do to Selected tool. This could also be found under the Tool menu. So let's change them all to SM100s. Use the Set Model menu, and you choose SM100. Now, let's rotate them all minus 90 degrees so they're all aiming at the floor. We can use the inclination Y command. Every click is 5 degrees. You can see your progress by watching the strip, or you can simply watch the lasers. There. Now we've placed a bunch of speakers and modified them all as a group. And if we had two ballrooms that are similar, we wanted to use the same speaker layout, we could select them all again, hit C for copy, and hit V for paste. Done. Let's see how this can also help us with clusters. Here's a model of a soccer stadium. Let me show you how the copy and pasting of a group can speed things up for you. Let's turn off the faces so we can see the model better. When I was building my SketchUp model, I added these little tick marks right along in here so that I could use my Select Point on Wireframe mode to place my speakers. Let's say I want to use a pair of SH96 HOs, one pointing at the upper deck and one to the lower deck. So first I would locate my point on the wireframe to find my first speaker position. Let's say it's right here. Okay, click on speaker 1 and Direct places a speaker there. Change the speaker to a 96HO, rotate it 90 degrees, and now you can aim it down and see how the coverage looks. Not too bad. So what I do is simply copy and paste the first one. Now I have two SH96HOs at the same location. Let's choose the fine adjustment mode for speaker number 2. There's a couple of ways to do this. You could right-click on Option, choose Fine Adjustment. Okay, once I have my speaker oriented the way I want, we can copy this new group and paste it to another point. So once again, type S for select multiple speakers, select this group, type C for copy. Exit out of your select multiple speaker mode, select the point where you want to place it, hit D for do to select it, and hit the Paste Group button. If we look at these speakers, you can see that they're aimed wrong, but they're in the right location. Again, from the Do to Selected tool, we can fix this. Select them, Do to Selected, and use the group rotation to rotate the speakers to point into the corner. Let's explore more closely how the Do to Selected tool works. Here's a group of two SH50s. When I use the rotation tool, each speaker rotates around its own axis. When I use the group rotation tool, the whole group is rotated around an imaginary axis of the group. Same thing for inclination. The inclination tool inclines each member of the group separately, whereas the group inclination tool inclines the whole group. When you're using clusters, most of the time you're going to be using the group tools on the right-hand side. The tools on the left are useful, like we saw earlier, when there are a number of individual speakers, but not in clusters, that you want to modify. Well, that's about it, other than to mention the shadow command, which used to be S, is now H. Okay, that'll do it. Until next time, I'm Doug Jones.